That's right, sorry.
So they picked their toes? Picked their toes from Poughkeepsie?
It was light reserve. Have you played Poughkeepsie? Did you get a crowd in Poughkeepsie?
I've never been to Poughkeepsie, but I just like saying that.
You're not missing shit. No. Yeah, I've been to Poughkeepsie.
Yeah, we made bail in Poughkeepsie, baby.
We had no idea. The 50 years later, almost 50 years later, we'd be up here seeing fans, and that this film could last like this. And it was a perfect storm, A bunch of young actors and young filmmakers got together for the summer and made a film, And we were both theater guys. But the thing is all the actors were actually actors, and all the filmmakers were actually filmmakers. And everybody knew what they were doing. They did a good job of hiring, of crewing up, and of casting the film. And it turned out to, just be magic. So thank you all for keeping us alive on the channel.
Band coming round the bend is BoogeyMan band. Is BoogeyMan band.
Greetings, my fellow Fright Fiends, and thanks so much for dropping by the Horror Zone channel. I hope everyone's doing well. Today's video, I just wanted to talk about a wonderful experience that I had this past Saturday, which was July the 9th. I went to the Colonial Theater in Sacramento, California for a screening of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the 1974 Tobe Hooper classic. It was something that I just really wanted to do. I don't typically go to a lot of these screenings, and there hasn't been a lot in the past that have really been held close to where I live. Sacramento's a bit of a drive for me. It's about an hour drive, and I'd never been to the Colonial Theater before, but when I was at Sinister Creature Con, and Sinister Creature Con was actually the people representatives from that were actually putting this one on. So, I love Sinister Creature Con. I just wanted to go. I thought this would be a lot of fun. And my friend Brian Henderson, who is a member of Forever Midnight Podcast, I knew was going to be there. And so I just thought it'd be fun to do something different. Also, they were going to have 2 stars from the original film in attendance. You had Edwin Neal, who played the hitchhiker, and John Dugan, who played Grandpa. So I was like, I've never met either of them. And over the years, I have become a huge Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan, the original film. Back in 2003, when the remake came out, I was very I had seen the original a handful of times, maybe 2 or 3 times. But it never had been one that was high on my list, even though I knew it was a classic. It's just like it was one that was just a little too bleak for me when I was a kid. There wasn't anything fun to be had for me as a young kid watching it. So I it wasn't one that, it resonated with me, and it was enough that I could respect it, but it wasn't one that I revisited on occasion. After the 2003 remake, which I saw with my friends the week before I got married, I became a bigger fan of the franchise, and I wanted to revisit some of these classic films because I had only seen the original and its 3 sequels once or twice at the most, especially Next Generation, which I fucking hated. Yeah, I wanted to revisit it, and over the years, it's just become a huge film for me, and I absolutely love it. And the opportunity to not only see it on the big screen, but also meet 2 of its stars, I thought it was a fantastic opportunity. So I didn't really film a ton there, but I did film the Q&A that they had with Edwin and John Dugan. It was amazing. There was actually some really cool stories that they told. I thought the whole presentation in a small theater, like I said, never been to the Colonial Theater before, but it was just a blast to be had hanging with a friend of mine. We lost each other in between the concession stand, the line to meet the stars, and the screening, but we eventually we eventually got back together during the Q&A. But yeah, Brian's a fantastic guy, and if you haven't checked out Forever Midnight Podcast, I plugged them quite a bit here, but they're awesome. Link down below. It's my favorite podcast to listen to. Jeff, Josh, and Brian are just fantastic guys, and yeah, just want to do everything I can to help support them. But it was a blast meeting them, and I did get autographs from both John and Edwin. A little pricey for both, but especially Edwin, it was $50. John was a little bit less, $30. But I had them sign my 40th anniversary collector's edition of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I just thought this was the perfect one to have signed. And one just says, "Hey Ben, Edwin Neal, Hitchhiker," and the other one says, "Ben, it's Hammer Time, John Dugan." I fucking had a blast meeting both of them, but I have to say John Dugan was probably my favorite to meet of both of them. Both of them were great guys, but John Dugan and I really had a nice conversation. I met him towards the end of the night, so it was after the screening, after the Q&A, things were winding down. I had more time to talk to him. I met Edwin like right at the heart of, the beginning of the show. They had kind of like a pre-show. They had like these burlesque performances. I missed all but one of them, and that one was top notch. But I didn't get a chance to really talk to Edwin because there was a lot of people in line, but everybody was really cool. But John and I really connected. John talked about his cancer scare back in 2018. They discovered that he had a malignant tumor on the floor of his mouth. And because of that, he had 2 surgeries, and it was a very scary time. And we had a conversation about the shirt I was wearing, because I had a shirt that I got from Walmart many years ago, and it just has Gunner on it. But he was showing me, because he actually had the picture of Gunner posed like that, and Grandpa is actually in that picture. So he was saying, "Hey, they cut me out of that," and stuff like that. And we were talking about Walmart and how he doesn't like Walmart as any more than I do. And he was saying, if I have to go there, I know what I want to get. I want to get in and get out and not mess with all that bullshit and stuff. And he was just a lot of fun to talk to. Just a really humbled, sweet man that I really enjoyed meeting. And it was a great night. And what I'll do right now is I'll share some of the Q&A, the questions that people asked them and their responses. They told some great stories about not only Tobe Hooper, but of other projects they worked on, other directors they've worked with. And once that footage is done, I will come back for my closing thoughts, and I'll show you the pictures that were taken with me and those 2 horror icons. So here comes the Q&A.
So you guys, I know you and a lot of that cast have a theater background. And I'm curious because before I got into film, I was also in theater. And it's always interesting to hear transitionally, what was it that kind of got you guys motivated? Was it Texas Chainsaw, being approached to be in that film? What was the motivation for you guys to kind of transition from theater to film?
Doing a film. I mean, every young actor, who's done a load of theater, everybody wants to do film because we think that's where the fucking money is. I was doing a children's play for the summer in Chicago at the Goodman Theater called Terrible Tales. Wearing green and yellow party-colored tights and dancing around telling folk tales and singing folk songs from around the world to children. And 2 shows a day, 6 days a week for like $275, But in all fairness, my share of the rent was like $55 or some shit. We had this huge apartment, there were 5 of us living there. And it was 1973, but still, you're talking about what, $13 a show or some shit? I mean, we had Mondays off. We were dark on Mondays. Remember that term? Theater's dark. It's like, what, the lights don't work? No, we're not open. But, so, I wanted to learn about film, and I, hope to do film. I hope to do theater and film and everything. So it was my first feature. I had done some industrial commercials and a couple other things. And are you telling me to hurry up, Danielle? Because I ain't going to. Terry McMahon is not here, so I have to carry on the tradition of talking way too much about shit nobody cares about.
Mostly film work is just, they film little snippets and they put it all together, and you don't have a clue sometimes in a scene what you're doing because they won't tell you. Oliver Stone casts me in JFK to be an FBI agent for the sole purpose of asking me questions about Chainsaw. That's showbiz. There were like 8,000 people real actors who could have done the part, but He's looking down at the resume going, oh my God, look at that guy. He turns to the casting director and he goes, well, find something for him. She goes, well, we're already cast. He goes, well, find him something. I want to talk about the film. You know the scene where Terry is in the swing and she stands up and walks towards the house? Oliver Stone's going, oh, how the hell did they do that? Because it's a simple crane shot, right? They just lift the thing. I said, Mr. Stone, cranes are like $1,400 a day and $9.50 for an operator. We had $9.50, so well, how the hell did you do that? I said, well, I'll tell you, but you won't believe me. And he goes, try, man. Okay. We got two roadies, large, hulking men, and put one on either side of the swing, that far off camera. And when she stands up, they lift the whole thing up. Dolly track goes underneath, and they put it back down. Oliver Stone goes, bullshit. I said, I told you you wouldn't believe me.
My last day there, which was, for, I don't know, 29, 32 hours or something, in costume and makeup, under the lights, in 100-degree heat, you know. It took forever to do that dinner party scene. And the way that Toby shot, it was very unconventional, I know now. Because what's generally done is when you got a scene like that, is you do a couple masters, one from one side of the table of the whole scene, another from the other side of the table, maybe one from either end, and get that over with. And then when you go to two shots, close-ups and over the shoulders, you just shoot little snippets. Well, for instance, when Ed had to do his close-ups, instead of them just shooting him saying his lines a little bit at a time, so I have something to cut into, Toby made us do the whole fucking scene every time. When the camera is only on Ed, for instance. And it was grueling, you know. Plus it wasted a whole lot of film, I reckon. But in retrospect, you know, it dawned on me a couple years ago when I was watching the film as an audience and how grueling that scene is and how the tension, you know, and the editing is beautiful in it. And the way the tension builds and builds and builds until Marilyn, you know, Grandpa can't hit her, and Marilyn breaks away, jumps out the window and runs and all that stuff. The tension in the room is so palpable. And it was really stress and tension between all of us. And I think, you know, if Toby was alive and I could ask him, except he hadn't, you know, didn't talk to me about it. I think he was wearing us down until he got us to that point where he got what he wanted.
He was supposed to let her have it, but he didn't. He just kept, no, we're gonna tell it. And she finally just hauled off and knocked the shit out of him. And Toby's on the other side of the camera talking to the producer one. You wanna come? Hell no! Let them kill each other. This is good stuff.
It's like, Sally, give me the keys. I'll go with you.
But that is in real time. All of her pounding on him is in real time.
And it's shot beautifully. It's all by the headlights of the van and everything. That's a marvelous scene. But part of I think, the character of Franklin, if you knew Kim Henkel and his sense of humor and his genius as a writer, Kim Henkel is probably the first screenwriter ever to make the handicapped guy an unsympathetic character. And Kim thought it was just fucking hysterical. And my agent said, you gotta go over, you gotta get an appointment with Toby and talk to him, man. There's about 3 or 4 great roles for you in the Salem slot thing, you know. So I set up an appointment with him. I come onto the lot, I go into his office, and his assistant goes, "Hi, John. He went to lunch. He's probably coming back to the commissary. He'll be here in 10 minutes or something." I'm like, "Okay, so have a seat." Well, in 20 minutes, he's not there. And she goes, "I'm sorry, John, I don't know. He should be here shortly." So half an hour, he's not there. And so about 20 minutes later, he's still not there, and she was embarrassed, you know. She was like, "John, I'm so sorry, I don't know what happened." So I'm fuck. And I'm walking, there aren't any children or like devout Christians in here, are there? Either one. No devout Christian children. Sorry, sometimes I crack myself up. But, so I leave and I'm walking back to my car and there's fucking Toby walking across the lot. He has stopped and he's talking to somebody. And so I walk up behind him, I come behind him and go, "Hey, Toby." And he turns around and goes, "Hey, John." I said, "We had an appointment, 11 o'clock appointment." He goes, "Oh, yeah. I'm sorry about that. Listen, John, I gave this some thought, and there's really nothing for you in this film, in this series, and except for $50 a day extra. And I didn't think you'd want to be have a job as a $50 a day extra, did you?" And I said, "No, Toby, I wouldn't." I walked off and never spoke to him again. So then 5 years ago, I get hired on to do this film in LA, and Tom Holland is directing it from Child's Play and Friday Night. And I get this phone call from Tom Holland. And I'm like, Stacy's like, "Who's that?" "Tom Holland." She goes, "Oh." I said, "Why would he be calling me?" And she goes, "Maybe he got hired to direct that film." And I was like, oh. You know? So I call him back. And he says, "Hey, John, I hear from Indiana. I have family in Indiana down by Bedford, blah, 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 blah." He goes, "Hey, John, can you, it's a very important role." And it was a marvelous role. And I could play a psycho pedophile. Fuck, it was a lot of fun, man. So much fun. I got to research pedophilia, you know, my wife was like, "What search criteria did you use to look this up?" I'm like, "How can I be a pedophile?" Is that, you know? But, so he goes, are you up for this? Can you do this role?" I said, "Yeah, Tom, I can do this role. I'm an experienced, educated actor. Of course I can do this role." He goes, "Well, I didn't know anything about you." So I went over to Toby's house. He's a friend of mine. I went, "Oh, great." And I asked him, you know, how you were and, as an actor. He goes, "Well," Toby said, "Well, I don't know. I only hired him because of his stature. Because I'm so small." And I was like, fuck. And the thing is, he died before we rolled on that film. So it was like the last thing he did to me in his life was try to get me shit canned from a really good fucking job. That's how much of a jerk he was. So if I seem bitter, perhaps it's because I have a reason to be.
A little bit.
So I hope you guys enjoyed that. It was so much fun being there. I hope to attend more events like this. They're actually having a screening of the original classic Boris Karloff, The Mummy. That's going to be the same weekend as CreatureCon. That's here close to where I live. That's going to be the first weekend in August. It's August 6th and 7th. And Sarah Karloff, Boris Karloff's daughter, is going to be in attendance at both. And actually at the CreatureCon, Bob Elmore, who played Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, is going to be there. So I'm going to be attending both of those. I plan to do more stuff like this. I really find that this is more fun than doing movie reviews all the time. Yeah, just attending these shows for these classic films and meeting people that were involved or related to people that were involved is just so much more fun for me than just sitting and talking about other movies and giving a critique. I just feel like there's enough of that on YouTube. So I really love what I'm doing this year on the channel. Real quick, I want to mention the sponsor of this video. That is Kevin over at House of Mysterious Secrets. That's houseofmysteriousecrets.com. I've been buying horror collectibles from Kevin since 2010. Awesome collection of horror items like shirts, hats, toys, posters, soundtracks. If you check out the site, use code 9350 for a one-time 10% off. Tell them the Boogeyman sent you. And finally, I will show the pictures that were taken. I want to thank, I wish I knew the names of the two gentlemen that took the picture with me and Edwin, but they were great. We actually talked about meeting Robert Englund, and that was someone they really wanted to meet, and I had told them that I met him at Walker Stalker Con back in January of 2015. But they were great, but I kind of lost touch. I kind of lost touch with them after we got in line to meet John, and then they told us that the show was going to be starting and that we would come back afterwards to meet John. So didn't get to talk to them, but they were two awesome guys. They took the picture with me and Edwin, and my buddy Brian Henderson took the picture of me and John Dugan. So yeah, thanks so much everyone for watching. Thanks so much for supporting the Horror Zone channel. I do want to plug the fact that I have created a Patreon page. Again, it's not really, I'm not doing it to make a lot of money. I did it because of what I went through, the rigmarole I kind of went through with my Salem's Lot, my Life in the Lot video, the locations video that I did earlier this week. Just had a lot of, it was just kind of a pain in the ass, and I ended up having to cut a little bit. It was like 10 seconds of footage I had to cut out of it in order to get it so where it wasn't blocked worldwide. So I thought I'd set up a Patreon page so that way I could direct people there if I end up having a situation like this again, where, I have something that I worked a long time on that video. I really started working on that video in April, and then finally got it all done after I made my second trip to Ferndale in June. So yeah, it took a long time to put that together and to have your work. I'm not trying to make money off of it. I'm trying to bring my audience into an experience, and that's what's most important to me. And that's why I use clips from the film and a little bit of the score. I'm not trying to make money off of this. And it's a 43-year-old property. It's not something like I'm going in and watching Thor: Love and Thunder and recording that and trying to make money off of it. I would never do that. But I'm just I should be able to present something with references to a piece that I'm trying to sort of, tell a narrative about and not have to be dinged like that. I understand if I can't make money off of it. That's never been my purpose. My purpose is to bring my audience into an experience that I would want to go through, something that I would want to see if I'm a fan of said film or said topic that I'm talking about. So created the Patreon page so I can upload my videos there and not have to worry about these limitations sometimes with YouTube. Also, if you want to donate to the channel, that's very nice of you, but is not expected. But I'll put it down below, link down below to Patreon. If you guys want to support me, that's fine. I really appreciate it. But again, everything here I want to be free. Let me know what you guys think, and thanks so much again for all the support. It really means a lot. I am getting back to everybody's comments. I'm trying to be better about that despite everything else that's going on in my life. So thanks so much again for watching. I hope everyone's doing well. I promise I'll talk to you again real soon. Take it easy. Stay scared as always.
I'm getting old, I'm getting old. Last week I bought a cemetery plot. I had to put a sign in it that said coming soon. Thank you, Robin.
50 years I've been putting up with this fucking idiot.
Hey fellow
Fright Fiends, just want to say thank you again for supporting BoogeyMan Ben's Horror Zone. If you're brand new to the channel and you haven't yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button down below, hit the bell notification so you're updated every time I drop a new video. I typically do this once or twice a week with new content. I've been doing this for over 11 years, and the horror genre is a passion of mine, and it really means a lot to me that I can share that passion with all of you guys. Thanks so much again for the support, and I'll talk to you again later. Take it easy, stay scared as always.